obesity and mental health. Is it your mind that is making you fat and keeping you fat? Today I want to talk about how mental health plays such a pivotal relationship with your relationship with food and how your body responds to it. I do want to give a fair warning, this might be triggering to some people. Some people don't want to really address the issues that come along, and some people are desperately seeking answers why they struggle with food, why they have a bad relationship with food, why they cannot lose weight, and all the other issues that come along with it. If you are suffering from obesity, if you feel that you are at your wit's end, I want to dive a little bit deeper, pull back some layers, and really get into the nitty-gritty of things. I want to explain my own journey with disordered eating and how therapy was my key to success, and how with therapy I was able to overcome obesity and finally lose the weight. Let's get into this. Hey friends, welcome back. This video, sometimes when I'm in the gym and my mind's like clear, I get these like inspirations, right? And I'll pull out like my notepad on my phone and I'll type it out. So I want to read to you exactly what I typed out because I'm not going to remember it. And my topic was obesity and mental health, how therapy helped me lose weight for good. Everyone used to roll their eyes and claim that obesity was from pure laziness. They couldn't understand why people couldn't push away from the table, put their fork down, or they would say they have the hand-to-mouth disease. To those same people who had that mentality, how are those extra pounds post-COVID doing you? How many people leaned on food for comfort during uncertain times and now are facing the battle of the bulge for the first time in their life? How are you doing? For the rest of us who have suffered with leaning on food, having a poor relationship with food, and basically being victims of diet culture and disordered eating, this is a lifestyle, this is a world that is far too familiar to many of us. But now we welcome some of you who have never ever battled the bulge, who have never ever had to lean on food for security and for love and comfort. Welcome to this side of the world. How do you like it here? It's not as easy to just put down the spoon or put down the fork, to push away from the table. It's not that easy. If you're new here, I have been overweight my whole life. I was the chubby kid in a family of virtually skinny people. Everybody in my family was very, very small. My mother, my aunts, my grandmother, nobody was heavy. Everybody was very petite, and I mean 5'2", 5'3". Even some of the men, I think at the tallest, are 5'6". Nobody was probably over 140 pounds. And then there was me. At the age of 8, I was 160 pounds and wore a size 9 in women's. By the time I graduated high school, I was 215 pounds, and by the time I was 25, I was 300. A lot of people, including people in my family, just thought that I was being lazy. I would just eat too much. Oh, it would be so much easier if you just stopped eating. Oh, have a salad. Replace one meal with a salad. I did everything from diet pills to diet doctors to the Hollywood diet to slim teas. I would binge and I would purge, and I would do all of it in between because skinny is beautiful. It didn't matter if I had a good relationship with food. It just mattered that I was a certain number on the scale and I was skinny. In more recent times, I have discovered therapy, and not only for my eating issues, but also for a lot of other issues that I have had. Generational trauma, all the things. That's a story for another day. But now that I see in a post-COVID world, people who were in my own family who were always relatively thin, or people I see in society, or people I went to high school with who were always thin, who always had a fat joke, who always had a comment for everything, are now part of the bulge club. So I always see them now, and now that I'm, in rather good shape, I have a really great relationship with food, and I have lost the majority of the weight that I had gained. How does it feel to be in our club? If you find yourself relying on food for the first time in your life, I'm sorry that this is your new normal. I'm sorry for that. If you have grown up with food as your best friend, as your confidant, and your companion, I'm sorry that that was your life. But I'm here to tell you that there is hope for all of us, because I sought help and I pulled off the bandage and I just went for it. Therapy. Now, if you're around my age, if you're an 80s baby and the 90s raised you, then you know that you come from a family, or most of the families back then had the don't tell tales out of school, keep family business within these doors, etc., etc. Therapy is for crazy people. You know, all the other little ideas or ways people would put it down, because seeking help for issues inside your head was considered a thing of weakness, instead of saying I'm being strong by telling a complete stranger everything that is wrong and looking for help and looking for the answer to help me live the best life to its fullest potential. I have been a therapy advocate since my very first day at therapy, because it was a hard thing to do, and sometimes in order to have a good outcome you got to do hard things. And was it easy to tell a complete stranger all of my deepest, darkest secrets, fears, concerns? No. Not every therapy session do I feel like I'm going to skip through a field of flowers and everything is fun and dandy. Some days I hate my therapist because she makes me think of things that I want to forget I choose to forget, or make me to, you know, see that maybe it wasn't the other people, maybe it was me that was at fault. And sometimes when you have to see yourself for not the victim but also the attacker, kind of sucks. While doing so on this journey of therapy, I realized that food was a crutch for me, that I used food to basically comfort me, to love me, to give me an excuse to do whatever, because that's was always the one thing that I can control. I can control what I eat. I can control, if I knew that if I was feeling like crap one day, a Snickers was gonna make me feel better temporarily, until it didn't. Until it was 1 Snickers, 2 Snickers, 3 Snickers, and then it was followed up by whatever else. There was no self-control. It was a complete binge mess. And then I would do crazy restrictive diets and try to just chase this number on the scale, because I knew that if I reached 130 pounds, I was going to be happy. There was no longer going to be any issues. I was going to love myself. The world was going to love me. Everybody was going to see me for my fullest potential because I was skinny. And that's completely not true. I can't expect the world to love me and to see me for my fullest potential when I didn't even see myself for its fullest potential. So what did I have to do? I had to learn to love myself. I had to learn to love myself. I had to learn that food didn't love me, and it wasn't going to love me, and it wasn't going to fulfill any deep, dark hole that I have. I had to learn that not all food was good and not all food was bad. I had to learn that being restrictive on myself was doing nothing but leading to more problems. I had to learn that nutrition is essential. Food is essential. I had to learn to say no. I had to learn to say yes. I had to rediscover who I was without a fork in my mouth. And it was hard, because what if I didn't like me? What if I didn't like me, is my husband still gonna like me? Are my kids gonna like me? It's scary. Until I kind of figured out who Danielle was on purpose. And I was like, dang, she's pretty cool. And turns out my husband still likes me, and my kids still think I'm a great mom. Turns out that carbs aren't bad. It turns out that sugar isn't evil. It turns out that I can have a sandwich and I won't gain 40 pounds. See, when I went off of keto, I had a really hard problem with carbs because I had villainized them for so long. And this isn't nothing against keto. Again, you know, I think keto is great, but this is my own relationship. I'm talking about my own experiences. And I restricted myself, and I read so much into so many different things about how carbs were causing cancer, and carbs were going to make me sick, and carbs were going to lead me to this and that. I was terrified, and I was so scared of all of those things that it made me so anxious that for the first 3 weeks off of keto, I was throwing up any amount of carbs that I ate. That's when I knew it was really bad. Because how am I going to show my kids, 3 daughters, 3 future women of this world, that it's okay to be who you are, and, you know, beauty at any size and all this other stuff, when I'm in the bathroom barfing up a freaking piece of bread? So I had to get myself together, and I had to dig deep, and I had to do a lot of behavioral readjustments and therapy, and basically I think a lot of people think that all you do with a therapist is talk about your feelings, and how is that going to help me with my issues with food? Because it teaches you behavioral management. It teaches you how to address issues and how to face them. Because food is just as bad as that shitty neighbor down the street that gives you anxiety. It's just like the school bully or the mean family member. It teaches you how to identify your triggers and how to react to them. And food for me was a trigger. Now I know that some people will say, you know, that this doesn't work or this isn't that, or, you know, I'm not that bad. You would be surprised at how much, if you have been overweight your whole life or for more than a few years and you are not losing the weight and you're trying, but you keep falling off, there's a problem. There's a problem. And it's not the exercise. You can exercise until you're blue in the face or until you're red in the face, whichever one comes first. And if you're still eating all the things, and it's not the food groups, it's the amount. People tend to confuse the food groups with the amounts. A lot of people recently have seen some little shorts, little videos I've made, and made a lot of comments about how I'm feeding my kids, or I'm eating over processed food, and I'm eating sugar. Yeah, I am. Okay? But I'm also eating it in the smallest of moderation. And just because you see me cook it doesn't necessarily mean I'm also eating it. You got to remember, I have a family I have to cook for. But in the same instance, no food is good and no food is bad because everything is portioned out. So would you rather me teach my growing children that this is bad, this is good, don't eat this, but eat that? Oh, that's too much. Because here's the fun fact. I was raised that way, and look what it did for me. So I chose a different approach. You want that? Have a piece, but just one. If you enjoy this pasta dish, there you go. Have a decent, normal sized portion, just one. If you're still feeling hungry, how about that side of vegetable that I made? Give yourself a little bit more of that. My children have begun to have a lot better relationship, not only with food, but themselves and with me. You know, there's no secret that some of my children have a little bit of weight on them. I'm not going to deny that. But what you don't see is how my children are working on that. How they're being more physical, how they're stopping at one portion, how they're choosing a vegetable over a candy bar because they like it better, because I taught them, I'm teaching them, look, this might taste good momentarily, but you could have a little bit more of this and enjoy it and it's still just as good. I was never taught that. For me, growing up, healthy food was a punishment. It's not a punishment. And I had to do homework outside of therapy that my therapist gave me to teach me how to apply these techniques to my own family so they're not going down the same road I'm on. I also very much support my children in therapy because guess what? They live through something that is so monumental that some people may not think is big, but for their little minds and their little lives and their little bodies, it was monumental. And there's some things that I just won't understand. So they too have their own feelings that they could address. Therapy is essential to those who are struggling. If you feel that there is no way out and you're just drowning in life, whether it is be with food or anything else, you need somebody, an unbiased party to listen to you, to help you, to guide you, to give you the steps to be the very best version of yourself. So I encourage you to reach out because this life is the only life we get. There are so many people who are not as blessed as you and I to even reach today, and you will only be this young once. So if you find yourself struggling, please reach out. There are a couple different places that you could reach out to. Always look into your insurance and see if they offer any type of telehealth. I do everything through virtual therapy. You can do Array, you can do Cerebral. There is so many. There's a lot of places we even offer scholarships. I'm recently started working, I'm going to try to work with a company to give you guys some discount rates and stuff like that. You can look for a counselor. And I also want to tell you this as well. Interview your therapist. Sometimes the first one isn't the right one. If you don't mesh with them, interview. Go to the, so you know what, I'll be in touch and request a new one. a new person. It took me 5 people before I found the girl that I liked, because I just didn't vibe with them. I didn't like them. I didn't like their tone of voice. I didn't like the way they approached me. There was just different things I didn't like. And I had to find what works for me, because if I really wanted to make this work, I didn't want to give myself any excuses to not show up. Stop giving yourself the excuse for why you can't do it when there's a million reasons why you could. You have to be your own hero in this situation. Save yourself. You deserve to be happy. It is a good life to live. Everybody, I feel like I used to get so like pissed off at people when they would be like, oh, it's such a great life, I'm so happy. Like, you can't be happy all the time. Like, your life ain't that much better than mine. Like, what are you doing? And you know what? You know how lucky I am to be able to wake up every day, just to wake up, to be able to physically get out of bed, to see my children, to raise my children, to have 3 healthy children, to have a loving husband, to have a home, to have my dog, to have heat, to have electricity, to have food in my refrigerator. These are all benefits that not everybody has. And just because I'm having a bad day doesn't mean I'm having a bad life. And I needed to remember that. So if you guys were searching for the answer and you're looking for a sign that you need to change, and what are you doing wrong, or what is it that you need to do to finally be successful, let this be your sign. Therapy will save you. It will teach you. It will teach you how to react to food. It will teach you how to react to your relationship with food. It will teach you how food has got you where you are, but how it's going to be you that's going to get you where you need to be. I promise you. Give it a chance.